everyone, and welcome to IAAS Summit 2026, Transforming the Future of Food. Can we give a big round of applause? Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone, and of course, welcome to America. We are the U.S. Embassy's American Center, and this is the place for you to learn more about the United States. And hello, everyone. My name is Patricia Elizabeth, and I will be your host for today's program. Today, we invite you to join an inspiring discussion featuring youth innovators, experts, and global partners who are exploring new ideas, technologies, and partnerships shaping the future of food and agriculture. Without any further ado, let us begin our program with the opening remarks. To start, please welcome Neysha Azahra, Project Leader IAAS Summit.
Oke, selamat siang semuanya. Oh, sini ya. Oke. Perkenalkan, nama saya Neysha. Di sini saya selaku project leader dari event IAAS Summit 2026 ini. Sebelumnya saya ucapkan terima kasih kepada seluruh hadirin, seluruh speaker, moderator, lalu semua all the partner yang sudah berpartisipasi dan mendukung acara ini. Saya juga terima kasih kepada seluruh National Committee Indonesia dan juga all the committee dari IAAS Summit 2026 ini, dan harapannya adanya IAAS Summit ini bisa memfasilitasi adanya kolaborasi lintas sektor, khususnya dari kita sebagai anak-anak muda untuk sekiranya bisa bersama-sama menumbuhkan sebuah solusi dan inovasi khususnya di isu pangan. Terima kasih. Thank you. Back to the MC.
Thank you so much, Neysha Azahra. Can we give a big round of applause to Neysha? And next, we will invite one of the committee of IAAS Indonesia 2026 until 2027. Welcome.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. So, on behalf of our National Director of IAAS Indonesia, Kak Ashifa Nur Fadila, who unfortunately could not join us today, I would like to welcome you all to IAAS Summit 2026. She sent her biggest apologies and also appreciation to all of you who already been here today. And she would also like to express her thanks to all of the speakers who want to share all of your talk and for the America. And also, my name is Dias, and I'm the Vice Director of Partnership of IAAS Indonesia. So, when we talk about the food security today, it often sounds like a big and a distant issue. But in reality, it actually affects our daily life, from food price to access to nutritious food, and to how vulnerable communities experience this challenge differently. So that is why today's session is designed as a dialogue. It's actually not to provide all of the answer, but to create a space where we all can think together, to listen and to question all of the problem on this food security. And in addition, welcome to IAAS Summit 2026. We hope you all have a great day today. Thank you.
Thank you so much for one of the committee of IAAS Indonesia 2026 until 2027. While our keynote speaker couldn't be with us live today, he kindly prepared a keynote speech to share with us. He is a FAO representative for Indonesia and Timor-Leste. Please give a big round of applause to Rajendra Aryal.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's my pleasure to be joining you all in the IAAS Summit 2026, hosted by the International Association of Students in Agriculture and Related Sciences, Indonesia. And this year's theme of empowering youth for smart and sustainable food systems could not be more timely, given the youth's critical and crucial role in transforming agri-food systems to improve food security, nutrition, and economic opportunities. Young people will unfortunately confront a wide range of challenges, including increasing food production for a growing population, replacing an aging workforce, and adapting to the impacts of the climate crisis, water scarcity, and urbanization. Many of these challenges come from the way our food systems work today. The global food systems are driving the triple planetary crisis of climate change, nature and biodiversity loss, and pollution and waste, while failing to address rising levels of hunger and malnutrition. That's why we need to transform our agri-food systems so we can feed the world's growing population while meeting global environmental and sustainability goals. And it must take place across the value chains, starting from the agriculture inputs we use and the ways we produce and process our food to how we distribute, market, and consume it. On the slide, you may see some of the issues we are facing across the value chain. In food production, we see that one-third of the global land area is used for farming. 86% of the species are at risk of extinction or threatened by agriculture. 70% of the fresh water we use goes to farming, and up to 21% of man-made greenhouse gas emissions come from agriculture, forestry, and other land use. And if you see the data from 2010 to 2019. Post-production, FAO estimates that at a time when 3 billion people worldwide cannot afford a healthy diet, the amount of food we lose and waste every year could have fed 1 billion people. 30% of all food produced is either lost or wasted globally. And every year, global food loss amounts to over $400 billion and accounts for up to 10% of the world's greenhouse gas emissions. So you can see the figures. Indonesia specifically produces 184 kg of food loss and waste per capita per year, causing economic losses of up to 551 trillion rupiah per year, or almost 5% of the GDP. So you can imagine how big it is. So if managed better, it could have fed actually a third of Indonesia's population, according to the estimates by the Ministry of National Development Planning, Bappenas. Now, if you see this slide here, there are some numbers that illustrate how our current food systems are disrupting biodiversity. I will not go into the depth of these numbers. Now you see here, we produce enough food to feed everyone, but food and nutrition insecurity remain a pressing issue in many parts of the world. Our latest report particularly highlights the rising food prices, making it difficult for many in the low and middle income countries to access healthy diets. High food price inflation, particularly in low income countries, deepens inequalities and threatens progress on poverty reduction, food security, and nutrition. The impacts of food price inflation are further amplified by structural and gender inequalities, particularly in countries with high income inequality affecting women and children. As a result, child malnutrition can worsen with food price inflation. Now, if you see this slide, Southeast Asia's cost of a healthy diet is higher than the world average. And Indonesia's cost is among the highest in the region. So please note this very clearly. In Southeast Asia, 227 million people cannot afford a healthy diet. In Indonesia, the percentage is even higher. What are some of the factors behind the high cost in Asia and the Pacific? So let's look into that. The first one, rising input costs due to poor seasonal production caused by climate variability and scarce natural resources. Second one, perishable foods require strong infrastructure. Third one, agriculture policies, subsidies, and production systems promote staple crops such as rice, wheat, and maize, making them cheaper and more easily available than perishable or diverse nutrient-rich foods. The fourth one, many Asian countries are graduating into the low and middle income bracket. Rising incomes are often directed towards health and education, with nutrition remaining relatively a lower priority. And the last but not least, accentuated by the unhealthy food environment in many countries. The consumption of processed and ready-to-eat foods, which are high in fat, sugar, and salt, is rising rapidly, especially in urban areas, backed by round-the-clock advertising on social media. These calorie-dense foods are also cheaper than nutrient-rich options, widening the gap in access to healthy diets. So now we come to this slide. In Indonesia, depending on the province, at least 4 to 53% of the population would not be able to afford a nutritious diet. Now coming to this slide, The current food systems have posed hidden environmental, social, and health costs also, which we call as hidden cost. And our report estimates the expected value of the global hidden cost of agri-food systems in 2022, that was the latest report, is at 12.7 trillion US dollars, caused by the greenhouse gas emission and nitrogen emissions, water use, land use change, unhealthy dietary patterns, undernourishment, and poverty. This is almost 10% of the global GDP in 2020. In Indonesia, the hidden cost is about $319 billion. 225 billion of them are dietary risks associated with non-communicable diseases. These are like diseases such as diabetes, heart attack, and so on, which are followed by environmental cost of 155 billion. And lastly, the social hidden cost reaches 12 billion from agri-food workers' poverty and undernourishment. So the negative impacts of current food systems run deeper and in more ways than we think. This is why at FAO we work with governments and communities to ensure more efficient, inclusive, resilient, and sustainable agri-food systems for better production, better nutrition, a better environment, and a better life that leaves no one behind. Now coming to this slide, as you can see, Indonesia has taken initial strides in transforming its agri-food systems. Indonesia is actually doing very good. We can see the shifts throughout Indonesia's history of food systems, from focusing on production and distribution, specifically of rice in early independent years to the early 1970s, to now when it has begun to focus on availability, access, utilization, supplies, price stability, food quality and safety, nutritional value, natural resource protection, and climate change mitigation. Now, if you see this slide, what you see here is Indonesia's strategic national pathway for food system transformation, focusing on 5 pillars: end hunger, improve diets, promote coastal and ocean-based food, protect and restore natural resources, inclusive business and circular economy, resilient and local food systems, and inclusive governance. Now, if you see these slides, all of the students and youths joining today are key change agents. That's what you are in transforming our agri-food systems. The FAO's latest report, which is the status of youth in agri-food systems, highlights how, with the right support, agriculture can provide lucrative opportunities for youth. Globally, 20% of youth are not in employment, education, or training. Bridging the employment gap for youth in agriculture could increase the global economy by 1.4%, which is almost equal to $1.5 trillion US dollars, with about 45% of that increase coming from agri-food systems. So to empower the youth, we need interventions that enhance their voice and agency, improve access to training and resources, and boost productivity both on and off the farm. We also need increased social protection programs, especially given the youth's limited access to traditional financing. In Indonesia, we very recently wrapped up our first Youth Innovation Challenge, which received over 230 submissions of startup and policy ideas. And their innovations were very interesting, ranging from scalable on-farm technologies such as IoT and AI-based solution for pest control, biostimulants for strategic crops, a digital platform to help smallholder farmers implement climate-friendly intercropping in oil palm plantation, to off-farm innovations such as vertical farming to transform kitchen waste into a food source for families in constrained urban areas. We also have the Cool Agripreneur program, which has developed age-appropriate learning modules and trained nearly 100 young people covering from farm to table, beginning with mapping local agrobiodiversity and market demands, adopting eco-friendly and tech-savvy farming, to eventually processing crops into value-added products and growing their own agribusinesses. Through this initiative, we have connected the young people with potential investors, markets, and other industry actors. At the global level, FAO implements the Agri Accelerator 2.0 program, which promotes responsible investment in agriculture and food systems while supporting youth-led agribusinesses. The program offers tailored coaching, business development tools, and access to networks from for young entrepreneurs in small and medium enterprises. It also strengthens the broader support ecosystem by training business coaches, integrating the acceleration toolkit into government programs, and assisting youth-led enterprises in value chain with high investment potentials. We are also facilitating an independent youth-led national network called World Food Forum Indonesia chapter, which is affiliated with the chapters in 20 other countries across the globe. And this World Food Forum Indonesia chapter is very active. They have been participating also at global level, every year in Rome with a very strong participation from Indonesia. Indonesian youth are represented. And I would definitely invite you also to join as a member and engage to exchange ideas, knowledge, and network, fostering innovation and cross-country collaboration. I think they have their website. They are also active on social media, so please contact them. And lastly, at FAO, we are definitely open to engaging with all of you, youth and students, with your innovations and fresh ideas in our efforts to transform Indonesia's agri-food systems. You are the present and you are the future. Thank you very much. Terima kasih.
Once again, can we give a big round of applause? And thank you, Rajendra Aryal, for sharing valuable insights and global perspective with us today. Now we are moving into our first panel discussion, where we will explore fresh ideas and practical approaches driving transformation in food and agricultural development through collaboration across sectors. And now allow me to introduce our moderator for the first session. She is the founder of Youth Health Hub Indonesia, YHHI. Please welcome Irene Bougenville.
Good afternoon, honorable representatives of the Food and Agricultural Organization and the Embassy of Chile at America, fellow youths and colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the first panel discussion of today's event, which is entitled Beyond Innovation, Youth, Structural Challenges, and Reality of Transforming Food Systems. It is an honor for me, Irene Bougenville, to be invited as a moderator for today's first panel. And I'm today serving as the founder and CEO, as you can see, of the Youth Health Hub Indonesia, which is a youth-led foundation which aims to incorporate youth's actions and perspectives to responsive and preventive public health efforts. We were founded in 2023, and last year we had a project in Ruteng, East Nusa Tenggara, where we have a farm-to-table system to alleviate stunting, working together with PT Pupuk Indonesia, and that is why this year we would like to have a policy brief on agri-food and stunting together with the International Association of Students in Agricultural and Related Sciences, who has kindly invited me as a moderator today. Thank you very much, IAAS. Okay, so to start today's session, I would like to invite the speakers for today's session. And in here, we bring together 3 speakers whose work directly reflects the theme of the panel. Rana Farassati brings over 7 years of experience at the Indonesian Oil Palm Research Institute as a soil science and agronomy researcher. Her work focuses on soil health, nutrient management, and the long-term sustainability of agricultural systems, particularly within Indonesia's oil palm sector. And she also holds a Master of Science in Agronomy with a specialization in soil and water management from the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, United States. With both strong scientific training and extensive field experience, she grounds this discussion in the practical and structural realities that shape agricultural productivity and sustainability from the soil upward. So please welcome Ms. Rana Farassati. Okay, now let's welcome our second speaker. He is the former IAAS World Food Waste Project Coordinator, and he is a youth who has researched Indonesia's food estate program and is now involved at the coordinating Ministry for Food Affairs, who offers a youth-driven yet policy-connected perspective on how large-scale food strategies are implemented in practice. Please welcome Mr. Brayen Aryal. All right, and last but not least, complementing these views, Mr. Fathan Oktrisaf is a strategic engagement manager at PISAgro, who will bring insight into how cross-sector collaboration is essential to move beyond innovation talk and address systemic barriers in transforming food systems. Please welcome Mr. Fathan Oktrisaf. Okay, so thank you for all three speakers. Maybe we will continue in bahasa for a little while. Gimana kabarnya, Kak? Semuanya?
Baik.
Alhamdulillah sehat.
Baik, alhamdulillah.
Baik, ya. Senang sekali ya hari ini kita bisa sama-sama ngumpul nih, gitu kan. Nah, kita mungkin mulai dari pertanyaan pertama dulu ya. Bebas nih siapa aja yang mau jawab ya. Mungkin dari Kak Fathan dulu kali ya, Kak Fathan dulu. Karena tadi kan udah ngobrol-ngobrol dikit gitu.
Okay.
Mungkin mau nanya, kan kita sering dengar ya bahwa food system transformation itu pelan gitu, jadi karena kompleks gitu ya. Mungkin tadi Pak Rajendra juga udah sempat menampilkan slide yang begitu komprehensif dan kompleks. Nah, menurut Kak Fathan sendiri sebenarnya sistem itu tuh susahnya di mana sih yang paling susah? Apakah insentifnya atau tata kelolanya atau mungkin translasi dari sains ke kebijakan gitu?
Okay. Mungkin sebelum dive into questions-nya ya Irene, mungkin sedikit promosi 1-2 menit dulu terkait PISAgro. Mungkin teman-teman di sini ada yang belum tahu soal PISAgro itu apa. Jadi kami adalah perkumpulan. PISAgro adalah sebuah non-profit organization di Indonesia yang isinya perusahaan-perusahaan private sector di agriculture industry seperti itu. Kita bergerak di multi commodity, tidak hanya berbicara soal pangan, tapi kita sebenarnya most likely untuk berbicara soal smallholder, resilience dan lain-lain. Nah, kenapa kita tertarik untuk juga bahas ini? Karena salah satunya kita selalu mempromosikan satu inclusive closed loop model. Mungkin Irene juga sudah pernah dengar sebuah model kemitraan yang selalu kita dukung untuk mendorong dari private sector maupun dari pihak-pihak lainnya. Lalu tadi terkait pertanyaannya, sebenarnya ada di mana gitu bottleneck-nya terkait transforming food system. Kalau kita lihat sendiri ini perspektif dari private sector dan juga dari kami, salah satunya mungkin di ketidakjelasan role-nya ya, Irene. Ada beberapa, karena petani ini kalau kita bisa lihat selalu menjadi ujung tombak yang setiap ada transformasi atau apapun mereka pasti yang akan melakukan seperti itu kan. Sementara beberapa mungkin di beberapa case tuh ada sistem yang mungkin belum ready untuk keberlanjutannya atau mungkin pihak-pihak lain ini sebenarnya belum tergambarkan dengan jelas seperti apa. Jadi instead of transformasikan melalui petaninya, tapi kita mungkin bisa lihat masing-masing role-nya itu seperti apa. Makanya kita coba promotin inclusive closed loop ini biar kita tahu siapa saja yang nanti akan role-nya sebagai off-taker, role-nya sebagai penyedia jasa keuangan untuk petani, lalu juga role-nya sebagai penyedia capacity building untuk petani, sehingga sistemnya yang sudah dibuat atau direncanakan itu mungkin bisa akan jalan lebih lancar. Mungkin dari aku itu dulu sih.
Oke, thank you Kak Fathan. Mungkin bisa direspon sama Brayen yang mengamati food estate gitu kan. Kalau di food estate gimana? Pembagian role-nya jelas nggak tuh?
Alright. Kebetulan relate banget sama apa yang udah Mas Fathan coba bilang. Tapi ya aku mau provide konteks dulu. So I was one students kayak teman-teman IAS sekarang dulu. Waktu masih kuliah di IPB. Kebetulan dapat kesempatan yang luar biasa menurutku ya. Selain kita harshly criticizing, for example, the efforts of the government, tapi pada saat itu aku dapat kesempatan buat sekelompok mahasiswa pergi ke Sumatera Utara waktu itu. Kita melihat bagaimana sistem yang dijalankan begitu ya, food estate di Sumatera Utara itu. Jadi ketika di sana memang betul tantangannya atau bottleneck-nya adalah bagi-bagi tugas yang gak jelas gitu ya. Jadi kalau bisa dibilang satu adalah coordination. There is a good blueprint yang sudah diciptakan oleh our government for example, and also sebenarnya udah ada kayak stakeholder analysisnya lah ya ketika kita mau run suatu project. Tapi in reality, in how we are going to do the actual project, sometimes apa yang kita lihat di lapangan itu nggak reflected the ideal scenario that the government for example has already designed. Itu sih yang mungkin jadi tantangan. Sebagai contoh, ada skema yang jelas bagaimana pendanaan food estate for example itu harus dilakukan yang nggak membebani APBN, our state budget for example ya. Tetapi waktu itu pas kita lihat di sana ketika disarankan, one alternative adalah we engage with the private sectors gitu ya. Tapi kenyataannya ternyata nggak bisa we rely heavily for example in the private sectors, dan itulah yang membuat program food estate sekali lagi in terms of funding dulu ya nggak berjalan kayak gitu ya pada saat itu tahun 2022. Of course things are transforming, changing into a betterment. But on a second note, selain koordinasi mungkin governance yang aku mau highlight. Sometimes it is very also challenging for us and government to actually showcase, for example, the reasoning yang jelas gitu kenapa food estate itu harus di daerah ini. Is there any scientific proofs, for example, that this is a suitable land for us to make our lumbung pangan itu gitu ya. Jadi mungkin itu yang sometimes conflicting between the government, academia, and also the civil society who deserves, I think, explanations behind all of that gitu. I think that's all from my end.
Wow, thank you Brayen. Mungkin lanjut ke Rana ya. Tadi kan Brayen tuh banyak highlight soal governance dan juga evidence-based policy making yang mungkin kurang di Indonesia. Nah, FYI aku juga sering nulis media artikel dan sebenarnya dua hal itu yang selalu aku ngomelin di setiap media artikel gitu. Karena itu kayak terlihat di semua project, di semua isu di negara kita gitu kan. Nah mungkin dulu kakak pernah kuliah di US gitu ya. Ada nggak benchmark di sana? Kayaknya orang-orang bangga banget jadi petani ya kalau di US ya. Kayak ada nggak benchmark di situ kayak governance yang bagus atau evidence based policy making yang bagus seperti apa gitu?
Oke, thank you Irene pertanyaannya. Jadi mungkin menambahi juga ya dari perspektifnya Fathan dan juga Brayen gitu. Tadi mungkin nyinggung soal coordination, roles gitu ya, sama governance. Nah kalau dari US sendiri ya pengalaman selama di sana, memang di sana itu udah lebih terstruktur nih. Kalau misalnya tadi misalnya Brayen mention suitable land-nya itu yang mana gitu. Jadi setiap program pemerintah yang dibuat mereka itu sudah mengkaji terlebih dahulu gitu. Jadi food policy-nya itu sudah berdasarkan hasil riset. Nah, karena kebetulan saya juga di riset ya sebagai peneliti ilmu tanah dan agronomi di Pusat Penelitian Kelapa Sawit, saya pun melihat memang ada missing gap di sini. Misalnya kita untuk merekomendasikan suatu lahan yang cocok untuk pertanian kita itu kan tidak hanya serta-merta di sini bagus kan enggak, pasti butuh ada riset gitu di situ. Dan memang kalau menambahkan perspektif juga ya dari segi risetnya sendiri untuk mentranslasi itu ke user gitu, ke petani, ke multi-stakeholders ataupun ke private sectors. Nah, itu kan butuh waktu dan dibutuhkan science communication yang tepat gitu di situ. Nah, di situ mungkin yang kayaknya Indonesia masih bisa terus belajar lagi gitu. Selain itu kalau di US mereka juga punya banyak website yang real time buat kita tahu misalnya soal cuaca, terus misalnya potensi produksi dari jagung di daerah misalnya Midwest. Nah kebetulan kan saya sekolahnya di Midwest ya, jadi sepanjang perjalanan itu yang dilihat jagung gitu kan. Kalau di kanan kirinya biasanya di daerah Nebraska, Iowa dan lain-lain. Nah mereka itu sudah menggunakan modeling juga, jadi introduksi science di sana itu sudah sangat masif gitu. Nah kalau di Indonesia mungkin science is there, tapi gimana kita bridgingnya, nah ini mungkin yang masih jadi PR kita bersama gitu.
Oke, thank you Kak Rana. Nah penasaran nih tadi sebelum kita touch peran pemuda ya, tadi kan sempet Brayen sebut tentang pembiayaan, maaf ya agak melenceng dari semua pertanyaan awal gitu. Nah Brayen sebut tentang pembiayaan food estate itu awalnya harusnya APBN tapi nggak cukup gitu kan. Kita mungkin touch sedikit nih tentang pembiayaan, mungkin dari Kak Fathan gitu, mau tanya penasaran. Harusnya gimana sih kolaborasi public private supaya bisa mendanai atau mungkin juga memilih daerah yang tepat gitu?
Oke. Mungkin kalau boleh sharing sedikit, ini juga jadi topik yang selalu menjadi hangat ya. Karena ternyata tuh setelah kami pelajari itu dananya ada sebenarnya. Di perbankan juga mungkin teman-teman ada kredit pagunan atau ada kur dan lain-lain, tapi itu kan mungkin skalanya tidak terlalu besar kan. Ya dari yang kami pahami adalah ternyata perbankan atau penyedia jasa keuangan juga sebenarnya kesulitan karena kan mereka on paper. Mereka sementara kita belum bisa translate resiko yang ada di pertanian, instrumen yang kita bisa kasih untuk investasikan itu belum bisa ditranslate ke sebuah paper yang mereka bisa percayakan seperti itu. Jadi ada satu proses yang mungkin nanti bisa dikaji bareng-bareng seperti itu, gimana caranya mentranslate risk yang ada di petani sebagai pelaku usaha, lalu juga nanti ada penjamin yang mungkin dari perusahaan dan off-taker lainnya, karena mungkin bank jika atau penyedia jasa keuangan lainnya mungkin akan lebih secure untuk memberikan permodalan jika pelaku usahanya mungkin sudah diberikan capacity building, sudah diberikan akses terhadap input yang baik dan juga lebih secure terhadap hasil panennya, lalu juga mereka sudah tahu akan menjual kemana dan pasar yang lebih pasti, itu mungkin semua usaha atau bisnis pun akan sepertinya lebih bankable ya untuk dilakukan di dunia. Nah, dunia pertanian itu mungkin satu step missingnya itu di situ. Jadi mungkin translate risk dan lain-lainnya menjadi sebuah usaha yang bankable tuh mesti menjadi tantangan kalau bisa dibilang.
Oke, thank you Kak Fathan. Jadi tadi kan kita bilang tentang risk of investment gitu kan, nggak bisa ditranslasikan sehingga nggak ada yang mau nginvest nih dari perbankan ataupun penyedia jasa keuangan. Nah mungkin dari Brayen yang sekarang kerja di Kemenkopangan gitu, apa sih role dari pemuda, kamu kan pemuda ya di Kemenkopangan untuk bisa memperbaiki sistem tata kelola ataupun pembiayaan ataupun tadi translasi evidence ke kebijakan yang baik gitu berdasarkan pengalaman kamu.
Alright, so tadi mungkin clarification sedikit. So in 2022 dulu tuh pakai state budget, tapi dirasa bukan gak cukup, tapi not sustainable, I would say ya. Pembiayaan dari state budget, so the government is actually thinking another way gitu, how to actually finance this kind of program more sustainably gitu. As a youth, of course, bahkan dari IPB itu pengalaman yang aku pelajari adalah to pinpoint the gap and also to look at in more scientific way sih. Tetap lihat sesuatu itu berdasar gitu ya. Cari tahu kenapa, for example, program ini bermasalah. Dari sana, sebuah kebijakan kan juga dicetuskan itu pasti sudah ada naskah akademiknya gitu ya. Cuman of course it is because of the rigid system of in the government itself, sometimes kita nggak bisa move very flexible. Tapi we know that yang kita coba putuskan itu sudah berdasar sebenarnya begitu ya. Walaupun memang kadangkala agak ketinggalan zaman nih karena ya kita nggak bisa move very flexible gitu ya. But the role of youth tadi itu adalah tetap stick on science, lihat semua keputusan yang kita ambil itu kalau bisa ada dasar akademis dari situ. Lalu yang kedua adalah terkait keterbukaan informasi gitu kan ya. Yang tadi untuk meredam gitu kan, apa yang ada di luar sana, bagaimana kita di-criticize for example gitu ya. Of course we have to have this really open communication with our citizens gitu kan. Itu juga yang mungkin jadi semangat para orang muda nih di government to actually make information accessible. I learned from my mentor juga di Kemenkopangan kayak sebetulnya aku tanya gitu ke mentorku, ada nggak sih Pak Mas naskah akademik yang mengkaji gitu kenapa lahan food estate itu harus ada di provinsi ini. Ada, tapi of course the open it's not an open sources gitu ya. And I ask another question gitu. Do you think that should be open gitu kan for the citizens to understand? And he said yes gitu. So I think we have a lot of homework here gitu ya, in how to transform our governance to a better we have a better governance where open sources supaya semua orang bisa paham dan mengerti, we are on the same page, we can hand in hand tadi sekali lagi to actually make our countries better gitu sih.
Oke, menarik Brayen. Mungkin Brayen dikit lagi kan. pengalaman aku juga sebagai pemuda yang, kan aku sekarang kerja di Kadin juga ya BTW, jadi memang tadi kamu bilang benar, kita tuh kadang-kadang terbatas ya kan, tapi kan kita semangat banget ya, orangnya kan semangat kayak, oh ya pokoknya kita harus mentranslasikan evidence base gitu kan, kita harus membawa ini terbuka komunikasinya, bahkan pasang-pasang di story kayak banyak titik-titik gitu kan,
Menjelaskan
ya
gitu
biar
ya.
menjelaskan gitu kan, biar meredam kemarahan atau apa gitu.
Iya.
Nah, sebagai pemuda yang tadi berkontribusi di pemerintahan, kamu merasa ada nggak resiko buat kamu sebagai pemuda, resiko gagal atau resiko apapun itu, atau challenge apapun itu saat kamu mencoba berkontribusi gitu?
Oke. Mungkin resikonya sebagai generasi muda adalah kita tidak didengarkan gitu ya. Karena we don't have the power, qualifications gitu ya to speak on behalf of ourselves gitu ya. What we can do at the very least adalah ya at least we are in the system. Pertama gitu ya. That we learn from what already being existed in the system and we look for things to actually improve it, I would say ya. Of course, maybe nggak sekarang gitu kan. Nggak sekarang because we don't have the system already. Tapi it's a good thing for us to learn. Jangan sampai kita immerse to what is bad. Instead, coba try to look how to actually transform the system itself to a better governance, to a better policy making mechanisms. Itu sih yang aku coba pelajari sebagai orang muda, tetapi banyak kok sebetulnya yang kita bisa pelajari dari hal-hal yang baik yang bisa kita bawa and also transform later on when our time comes gitu ya.
Amin. Jadi kan future Kemenko Pangan. When our time comes gitu. Oke, mungkin sedikit ke Rana dan Kak Fathan nih lagi. Tadi kan Brayen menyebutkan kadang-kadang kita tuh kayak terhimpit gitu, nggak bisa terlalu fleksibel gitu kan. Aku penasaran deh dengan dari waktu aku baca profilnya Rana, karena kan penelitian soal kelapa sawit ya. Nah ini sangat menarik gitu menurutku gitu, karena inklusif closed loop system yang Kak Fathan sebutkan itu tuh kalau di pekerjaan aku itu dicontohkan ke APP Group yang menangani kelapa sawit gitu. Aku penasaran aja sih gimana caranya kita, nggak ada lagi gelis pertanyaan, gimana caranya kita menyeimbangkan nih misalnya kerusakan alam yang disebabkan oleh penanaman kelapa sawit. Padahal di salah satu media artikel yang aku tulis itu mungkin kita bisa hilirisasi komoditas-komoditas pertanian lain yang sebenarnya menguntungkan smallholder farmers di daerah tersebut gitu. Gimana menurut Rana?
Oke, thank you pertanyaannya. Ini lumayan sensitif gitu ya, atau ini isu yang lagi hangat-hangatnya gitu kalau kita ngomongin soal kelapa sawit. Nah jadi sebagai generasi muda yang juga bekerja di industri yang sangat ini ya, eksis ini gitu di Indonesia. Mungkin kalau teman-teman belum tahu, Indonesia itu eksportir utama kelapa sawit dunia gitu, nomor 1. Jadi dari another vegetable oil, oil palm ini juga yang paling efisien gitu kan. Tapi dengan spotlight ini tentu ada yang kita harus perhatikan gitu, terutama saat kita membudidayakan si tanaman kelapa sawit. Jadi kalau dari pengalaman saya mungkin selama jadi peneliti, kita harus lihat dulu nih ketika kita menyoroti, oh ini satu komoditi ini menimbulkan sangat banyak masalah. Kita harus breakdown dulu dari upstream dan downstreamnya. Nah dari awal saat ditanam, apakah dia ditanam di lahan yang tepat, terus izinnya seperti apa, lalu mulai dari sertifikasi, terus juga dari seedlingsnya palsu atau enggak gitu, terus gimana tata kelolanya, agronomic practicesnya, sampai ke akhir gitu kan, pengelolaannya sampai ke panen dan pasca panen. Karena ketika kita hanya melihat satu segmen aja nih, kita cuma lihat, oh sawit hanya merusak hutan. Nah kita lihat dulu ceritanya, apakah dulu lahannya memang adalah lahan terbuka atau sebenarnya ceritanya deforestasi nih gitu. Karena kan emang kalau kita lihat ini ya, kita track lagi ke historinya Indonesia sendiri kan di tahun 1980-an atau sebelum itu bahkan itu kan lagi marak-maraknya pembukaan lahan karena untuk hutan industri gitu. Setelah hutan industri saya selesai selesai, masuklah era sawit gitu. Nah, jadi kita benar-benar harus memperhatikan dulu nih sebenarnya apa sih yang jadi masalahnya. Nah, yang sering disoroti itu kan isu keberlanjutan ya teman-teman kalau soal sawit ini. Nah, kalau dari kita sendiri sebagai generasi muda, mungkin kita bisa lihat sebenarnya agronomic practices-nya itu seperti apa. Lalu kalau di perusahaan besar, misalnya di tadi ya large plantation, terus juga dia swasta, pasti itu lumayan banyak sekali sertifikasi yang sudah dilewati sebenarnya, kayak untuk sustainability certification, right? If they want to sell their CPO abroad gitu, doing export and everything, dia kan udah harus melewati segala macam apa ya, sertifikasi yang sangat detail ini, termasuk RSPO, dan Indonesia juga punya ISPO gitu. Nah, mungkin tugas kita itu adalah mengawal apakah benar-benar dijalankan atau tidak gitu. Dan sawit sendiri karena emang udah lebih dari satu generasi ya di banyak tempat, jadi isu-isu lingkungannya makin hot karena di tempat itu ketika kita growing the second generation or the third and the fourth, it would get worse karena degraded land-nya memang sudah existing ya di situ karena monoculture and everything. Nah, makanya ketika kita growing di tempat yang sama nih, cultivate di tempat yang sama, kita harus tahu kita apain dulu ya ini tanahnya gitu. Jadi kita untuk meminimalisir itu terus juga cek di situ ada tanaman atau flora fauna yang dilindungi enggak sih gitu kan. Nah, jadi kita bisa kayak satpamnya lah ya di situ karena kan kita mungkin yang youth ini lebih berapi-api untuk taat dengan peraturan seperti itu. Jadi mungkin jadi kita mungkin bisa bantunya tuh the idealnya itu harus seperti apa gitu kan. Karena memang industri ini sangat masif ya, udah 16 juta hektar juga gitu di Indonesia dan kita nggak bisa kayak menyoroti, oke kamu salah kamu tutup sekarang. Sedangkan kebutuhan minyak sawit nasional dan internasional itu sangat high demand gitu. Nanti gimana nih kalau udah scarcity terjadi, kan kita tidak mau seperti itu. Even though kayak gitu juga sebenarnya dari segi national production kita juga punya yield gap yang sangat besar and we don't even realize that we actually have that huge yield gap almost like 50%. Jadi actualnya sebenarnya kita bisa nyampe berapa gitu, tapi kita cuman 50%-nya doang dan itu nggak hanya di smallholders ya terutama masalahnya, tapi juga ada di large plantation. Nah, itu kan bisa disoroti ya sebenarnya apa nih yang terjadi, apakah dari agronomic practices-nya atau akses-aksesnya tadi yang terbatas gitu kan dari petani independen utamanya gitu. Nah, mungkin di situ kita bisa bridging kira-kira misalnya dari saya sendiri di penelitian itu harus mengarah ke riset apa gitu. Nah, mungkin di situ sih role-nya youth gitu untuk meluruskan apa yang sudah berbelok-belok ini.
Oke, paham banget. Thank you Kak. Kak Fathan ada tambahan nggak Kak?
Ternyata kelempar ke saya juga ya ternyata. Ini udah agak deg-degan. Anyway, mungkin karena udah jelasin banyak ya terkait governance dan lain-lain. Yang mungkin tambahan dari saya tadi sempat disebut juga soal inclusive closed loop, peran youth. Kalau dari saya sendiri mungkin yang dari PISAgro ini, kita kebetulan setengah dari karyawan PISAgro tuh Gen Z. Di sini juga ada Arit, internnya PISAgro. Jadi memang kita ternyata tuh semangatnya anak muda, semangatnya itu tuh bisa dibawa ya. Dalam arti tidak hanya di lapangnya juga, tidak hanya di akademiknya, tapi ternyata semangat-semangat untuk networking itu sekarang anak sekarang suka banget networking ya. Kenalan atau berbagi ide bisnis dan lainnya itu kan sangat happening lah sekarang bisa dibilang. Nah, itu sih sebenarnya jadi potensi juga dari kami sendiri. Makanya kenapa kita senang banget punya karyawan-karyawan ini juga masih Gen Z. Selain itu yang terkait industri yang tadi kelapa sawit juga disebutkan karena memang nilai ekonomisnya tinggi. Mungkin segala sesuatu yang nilai ekonomisnya tinggi juga pasti akan ada dua sisi yang itu ya. Tapi mungkin salah satu yang mungkin bisa di-highlight tadi juga isi keberlanjutan, ada beberapa mungkin masih perusahaan yang bersifat ilegal, itu juga mungkin harus di cross check. Kita juga anak muda punya akses terhadap informasi yang lebih luas ya. Kita punya kemampuan untuk searching, kita one click away terhadap chat GPT gitu. Mungkin ada beberapa mungkin penyebabnya kita bisa tahu dari perusahaan-perusahaan ilegal, karena tadi juga disebutkan kalau perusahaan-perusahaan produsen besar mungkin udah ada RSPO, udah ada keberlanjutan dan juga ada inclusive closed loop. Dan by the way yang kita coba terapkan itu adalah karena inclusive closed loop itu sempat optimal digunakan di kelapa sawit, kita coba replikasikan ke komoditas lain. Jadi nggak hanya kita yang kita lakukan adalah tidak hanya melihat kelapa sawit sebagai satu-satunya komoditas yang punya ekonomis tinggi, tapi kita coba replikasikan ke komoditas lain seperti kakao, kopi, dan juga yang lain-lain yang bisa mempunyai skema kemitraan juga yang sama menguntungkan bagi petaninya itu sendiri sih.
Thank you Kak Fathan dan Kak Rana. Jadi buat audience dan yang di online juga, jangan marah-marah terus ya kan. Kita kan selalu ada dua sisi ya kan. Karena betul banget kita kan eksportir nomor 1 kelapa sawit ya. Dan itu secara geopolitik menurut kita sangat kuat ya. Dan karena kita punya CEPA, perjanjian dagang ya. Dan kita kan perlu juga tuh harus ekspor kelapa sawit, devisanya supaya jalan dan sebagainya gitu kan. Terus juga tadi kan Kak Fathan sempat mention bahwa kita bisa hilirisasi komunitas lain, ada inclusive closed loop di komunitas lain, dan juga karena sempat mention bahwa gimana caranya untuk memperbaharui lahan itu bisa kita perhatikan gitu, misalnya dengan biomass gitu, misalnya itu kan lebih sustainable, lebih ramah lingkungan dan sebagainya kayak gitu. Oke. Last question sebelum aku open the floor for questions and answers ya. Kadang-kadang tuh kan kalau sebagai youth kan kita juga punya kayak semacam project, mungkin di PISAgro ada project-project. Nah mungkin karena juga ada research gitu. Terus nggak sustainable atau nggak didengerin kata Brayen gitu kan. Kalau aku di YHHI itu coba nipunya gimana sih caranya gitu kan. Jadi caranya tuh aku kan punya project tadi kan cerita di NTT gitu ya. Itu tuh dipimpin sama bidan muda. 23 tahun gitu. Nah dia bener-bener mengadvise Bapeda, bapak-bapak tua Bapeda gitu ya. Kayak Pak ini jenis crop yang harus ditanam berdasarkan riset saya gitu loh. Nah jadi PT Pupuk Indonesia ngasih pupuknya itu ke petani. Oh nanti kamu tanamnya ini ya berdasarkan hasil risetnya si midwife itu ya kan dan teman-temannya lah. Nah terus setelah itu udah ditanam dicek berkala gitu. Gimana sih kira-kira indikator stunting di daerah tersebut gitu kan. Nah setelah kita bikin project, kita bikin risetnya gitu. Nah kita bikin risetnya kuantitatif kualitatif, terus kita bikinlah policy briefing sama IAAS tadi itu ya untuk kita kasih tahu nih ke kementerian. Jadi kementerian udah gak punya alasan lagi buat bilang, oh gak ada contohnya atau misalnya apa gitu misalnya. Nah kan suka gitu ya project-project anak muda tuh yang aku sebelnya kadang-kadang juga one off, gak sustainable, gak didengerin gitu. Nah mungkin urutan dari Brayen, Kak Fathan, Kak Rana ya. Apa sih gimana caranya untuk tadi menelisut dan supaya kita tuh didengerin gitu loh dan projectnya sustainable gitu. Brayen dulu.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I guess it starts from curiosity dulu kan, instead of anger. And also I would say I'm a little bit blessed ya waktu itu. Sempat gak tahu gitu, out of nowhere diajak, woi mau nggak neliti food estate? Buset gitu kan. 2022 nih ya kan. Tadinya aku juga apatis dan juga cenderung menarik diri gitu. Oh, I don't want to be political. Udahlah hal-hal kayak gini gak mau banget gitu ya. Tapi dari situ belajar melihat dan juga menyadari sebenarnya kita youth, young generation could be have a huge influence when we are actually in the systems gitu kan ya. One of which adalah to run research ya. Makanya aku setuju banget apa yang udah dilakukan oleh Karana. Research base itu dijalankan pas saat kuliah kan. Inilah saat-saatnya dimana kita bisa being super bluntly kayak gak punya batasan, explore lah semuanya gitu. Jadi pas mahasiswa keidealismean itu yang harus kita explore waktu itu. I asked a lot of questions to the food estate program and how it is actually being implemented. Dan di situ journey-nya lumayan panjang teman-teman. Tahun 2022 isu yang aku angkat adalah ketidaksesuaian crops yang ditanam, gitu ya. Di sana itu ditanam bawang merah gitu kan pada saat itu. And turns out what we understood as a agriculture student di IPB, di lahan itu tidak cocok karena iklimnya hujan terus. Jadi kayak kalau kita tanam of course gagal gitu kan ya. So gimana nih caranya gitu kan buat kasih tahu, wey ini gitu gak cocok gitu kan. Nah kita melalui opportunity itu go there, try to make our own research, findings, ngobrol sama masyarakat di sana, understand the system better gitu ya, karena kita benar-benar ngelihat langsung nih bukan apa yang diberitakan di media, karena of course ya beda gitu ya. Nah pas ke sana oke, kita balik lagi ke Bogor, we try to present the research to the relevant ministries. Waktu itu juga kita kerjasama sama Netherlands Embassy. What touch me more itu adalah ketika aku kerja sekarang di Kemenko Pangan, itu yang aku kerjain. Kayak kita try to find another benih yang harus ditanam yang lebih cocok tuh apa. So, itu kan journey yang sebetulnya kita gak sadar dulu ya as mahasiswa. Dulu juga abis presentasi kita dicuekin rasanya gitu ya. Tapi sekarang wah ternyata mereka aku pakai sisi GR nih ya. Dengerin dong berarti apa yang aku coba present waktu itu sama teman-temanku melalui riset itu bahwa there is something wrong. Even if it takes 4 years gitu kan. Sampai sebuah saran, advice, research dari students itu bisa didengerin. Tapi please do remember that our presence, apalagi di sebuah kesempatan yang dimana kita ada di upstreamnya ya, tadi Kak Rana sempat singgung upstream, downstream, itu jadi kepake gitu kan. Karena kita di-include nih di policy evaluation, kita bisa bilang juga bahwa kita nge-co-create ya our policy with the relevant government ministries itu. Jangan sampai kita hanya di downstream aja gitu ya. As an IAS member, aku dulu kan No Food Waste Project Coordinator. We rely heavily a lot on youth volunteers. Ya, sekarang senang banget pasti kan ada bukaan volunteers di mana ikut gitu ya. Tapi what we don't actually realize sometimes this volunteerism activities must another meaning gitu ya. To actually compensate a systemic failures, I would say gitu. Dari sebuah, we talk about food system ya. Jangan sampai, ya apa sih yang biasanya ditanganin untuk food waste gitu kan? Nge-redistribute food surplus, for example, tuh apalah. Terus ada juga campaign awareness, biasanya ya anak-anak muda itu kita, tapi ternyata ada makna lain kan di balik itu semua kayak market inefficiencies, kegagalan kita membuat peraturan, for example, in regulating our food waste and loss, kayak gitu ya. Nah biasanya kalau anak-anak muda di-include di mana? Pasti di situ. Awareness, food volunteers. Nah tapi we have to step up the game, I would say. Emang kesempatannya very limited, aku juga waktu itu, ya aku bilang tadi, I was very blessed bisa ngelihat langsung dan di-include gitu ya in this policy co-creation. Tapi please kalau misalnya ada kesempatan, teman-teman misalnya ikut project dosen atau dapat opportunity lain, take it. Because it's actually could be one way for you to contribute to secara spesifik to the betterment of Indonesia. Jadi jangan kita berlarut-larut sama our own criticisms, yang mungkin kita belum lihat sendiri gitu ya. I think that's it from Aryal. And thank you.
Oke. Mungkin ada dua nanti jawabannya. Pertama yang terkait youth-nya itu sendiri dan juga gimana nih project bisa berkelanjutannya. Mungkin tadi beberapa sempat ada academic researches dan juga lain-lain itu kalau yang dari kami pelajari mungkin saya share juga selalu adalah bottleneck-nya riset itu menggambarkan sesuatu agar lebih efisien, lebih tepat guna dan lain-lain. Sementara tadi mungkin saya mau ngulang hal ini lagi karena perlu di-highlight beneficial untuk petani itu sebenarnya masih di-consider seperti itu. Jadi banyak mungkin praktik berkelanjutan yang dilakukan itu pasti petani itu butuh transisi, butuh apa. Nah itu juga sebenarnya kesulitan bagi kami ya karena transisi itu pasti petani mengalami pengurangan pendapatan, juga ada perubahan-perubahan terkait yang mereka lakukan juga di praktisnya, karena itu hal baru bagi mereka. Nah yang kami lakukan sih sebenarnya karena pemuda ini juga biasanya lebih aware terhadap resiko ya, mungkin itu bisa jadi salah satu tambahan resiko yang bisa dikonsider sih untuk proyek yang bisa berkelanjutan gitu. Tapi untuk secara personal sendiri, bagaimana pengalaman saya juga terjun di dunia pertanian juga di non-profit organization, mungkin salah satunya ini juga sebenarnya saya juga baru tahu ternyata ada pekerjaan seperti PISAgro dan lain-lain dan ternyata ini dibutuhkan juga, tidak hanya di Indonesia dan juga, tapi juga di level regional. Ada hal-hal yang mungkin expertise yang bisa kita bawa sebagai mahasiswa pertanian, karena dulu saya pikirannya adalah mahasiswa pertanian adalah ya pasti di lapang, pasti jadi asisten kebun dan pasti jadi researcher dan lain-lain. Tapi ternyata ada opportunity lain yang bisa dibawa. Tapi saya selalu bawa mantra fake it till you make it ya. Jadi saya juga mungkin hari di sini juga sebelumnya karena mantra itu. Jadi mungkin bagi teman-teman sarannya itu aja sih sebelum closing ya. Irene.
Oke, mungkin nambahin juga dari tadi Fathan sama Brayen udah menceritakan cukup banyak gitu. I'd like to add regarding why, like what is the obstacle for youth, right? I would say one of which is because we don't really see what happened in the field. So sometimes because our mind is just that wild, right? When we are like young, we want to try everything, we want to doing research in many areas, but we're not focused on the core issues. So I would like to suggest to the youth, try to walk around the farmer's field, or you can try to talk with the farmers so you know what is the actual research that really matters to them, and they can actually apply it. Because as Fathan said also, it takes, you know, like it's risky, so the farmers doesn't really want to change if we introduce a new practice to them. So it's nice to know like how we can actually take their heart, right? We talk to them, trying to say like, oh, it's not gonna make you lose the yield, and we try to make maybe like a plot to show is it really like happen or not, because it's also one of my experience doing research with the farmers. We did some research around intercropping. Intercropping is promoted as nature-based solution, right? Maybe we all know in the paper how the advantages of it, but when we try to say to farmers, they don't really want to do it if there's a lot of risks in there. Like they need to buy more supplies, they need to know how to manage the crops and everything, and whether the market is available or not. So I think that's our part at the bridge to let them know like, okay, this is the knowledge that we already get. This is how we can say to you like, okay, this you don't have any, you know, you don't need to be in doubt or worry or anything like that. And also in terms of youth, sometimes we talk more about digitalization, right? But in Indonesia case, in a developing countries also, the digital literacy is still low. So it's good to implement like IoT, AI, and many things. I also did research about that. But when I went to the field, so we make one application called Oil Palm Assistant. So you can try to Google it. It's called OPA. So you can search OPA by PPKS in Google. So you can check. It's actually like an adversary online system. It's kind of like the chatbot AI. So we add a lot of knowledge based on the research that we did, based on the paper that's there in Indonesia about oil palm. But still, the farmers still have difficulties to translate how to use it. And also when we try to tell them, oh, we also have the diary, so you can actually put the numbers of the harvested fruits there, so everything is recorded, because we want to have a better data, right? That's one of the issues that we also have in Indonesia. We don't have a better data to have a good decision making, especially in the government level. They need to talk by data, right? So that's one of the case. So when I went to the farmers, I know like, okay, this is the, I would say, tech savvy for them. So we need to explain it little by little, keep it all simple, but still robust. And another thing for youth, it's about the funding usually. When we try to find research, mentoring, everything, we want to go to, for example, like World Food Forum, like it's one of the good place to explore. So everyone, if you want to try to check World Food Forum, it's part of the FAO event crafted for youth. So we can explore what's going on in the field, how it's already translated, what is the obstacles, also about the funding. Maybe you can find people who can you know, like ask for networking and doing some collab. And funding itself, I think in Indonesia, many big companies also already, you know, like giving competitions for youth, like in BPDP and Pupuk Indonesia, they have Verti Innovation Challenge, I think, recently. And also BPDP, they have many funding for the youth. So you can try to explore on that sector, so you know what actually, like, what research that actually matters to them. So when we try to voice what matters to us, it actually can be applied in a broader scale.
Thank you, Karana, Kak Fathan, Brayen. Okay, so we're lagging on time, yeah. But if there is any question or responses from the audience, maybe I would like to take 3 responses or questions, and then it will be responded by 3 of the speakers with sekaligus closing statement gitu ya. Is there anyone who would like to? Okay, 1, 2, another one. Boleh pakai bahasa Indonesia, boleh pakai bahasa Inggris. Oke, berarti 3, ada 3 tuh pas. Oke, silakan Kak, perkenalkan diri, dari mana, terus what's the question or the response gitu.
Oke, terima kasih atas kesempatannya. Selamat sore semuanya. Perkenalkan, nama saya Muhammad Kawari Jimakalalak. Saya berasal dari Sulawesi Utara dan sekarang lagi kuliah di UIN Syarif Hidayatullah Jakarta, jurusan agribisnis. Jadi tadi kita udah bahas terkait dengan transferring the future of food kan. Kita banyak diskursus yang saya hadiri itu membahas terkait dengan keberlanjutan yang berfokus pada keberlanjutan komoditas, produktivitas, penyesuaian pupuk, benih unggul dan lain-lain. Tapi di lapangan itu ada salah satu masalah yang cukup fundamental juga, di mana keberlanjutan ataupun regenerasi dari petani itu sendiri. Di mana tadi juga ada beberapa kali dibahas juga Mas Speaker. Tapi saya pengen untuk kita bahas lebih dalam lagi, itu kenapa petani itu regenerasinya sangat lambat dan bagaimana cara kita untuk solve problem itu. Karena bagaimanapun kalau misalnya benihnya unggul tapi tidak ada eksekutor yang baik, otomatis yang tadi juga yang di-mention sama Kak Fathan, itu terkait dengan investor, itu risk manajemennya kurang dari petani, educationnya nggak bagus. Jadinya ragu untuk invest di pertanian. Seperti itu. Terima kasih.
Boleh dijawab langsung.
Ya, baik. Terima kasih banyak pertanyaannya, tapi memang itu jadi salah satu yang kita coba promote juga ya. Makanya kita nggak hanya ternyata tuh menjamin petani akan dibeli hasilnya juga nggak sepenuhnya menjamin. Tapi ada beberapa ternyata poin-poin yang kita juga perlu coverage, kita perlu kasih ke petani. Sepertinya tadi salah satunya sebut juga kasus terhadap info pertanian yang baik. Ternyata nggak serta-merta juga info pertanian yang baik juga bisa mendukung juga ya. Mungkin juga nanti bisa sharing lagi lebih setelah acara, bisa mendukung juga itu memastikan bahwa hasilnya itu baik atau enggak gitu. Tapi paling salah satu tambahan dari saya juga tadi mungkin belum sempat ke share. Jadi kami itu sekarang lagi promoting gimana caranya youth itu shifting mindset ya dari hanya sebagai petani tapi jadi agripreneur. Nah ini mungkin salah satu mungkin yang karena kan mindset itu perlu dirubah ya. Mereka harus perlu melihat bahwa pertanian itu adalah sesuatu yang profitable bagi mereka. Baru mungkin nanti youth akan berbondong-bondong masuk ke sana gitu. Nah perubahan mindset ini tuh kita coba untuk promote ke perusahaan-perusahaan. Mereka sih banyak melakukan ya, dari mulai komoditi, dari peternak, dari pekebun dan juga petani juga. Ini mulai ke arah sana mindset shifting ya. Alasannya apa? Karena tadi kita selalu bilang bahwa youth adalah innovators, mereka adalah agent of change dan lain-lain. Tapi saat risk-nya nggak bisa dibendung, itu mereka juga pasti bakal kewalahan. Mereka akan mentok di piloting, mereka akan mentok di PPT malah mungkin masalah dan lain-lainnya. Tapi nggak pernah terjadi di lapangan. Tapi mungkin itu sih salah satunya mungkin kita harus bagi risk-nya bareng-bareng. Tugas saya di PISAgro sebagai apa untuk bantu, tugas teman-teman nanti juga sebagai apa, dan tugas pemerintah dan lainnya juga sebagai apa, itu juga harus dibagi bersama-sama seriusnya. Itu aja sih akhirnya.
Okay, thank you Kak Fathan. Jadi last but not least, karena cuma semenit doang nih. So just like a little wrap
itu
up.
Mungkin sekalian closing statement dari saya aja.
Boleh. A little wrap up bahwa tadi mungkin udah beberapa touch closing statement juga. Ada 3 things yang we discussed today. Governance, evidence-based, financing, and regeneration of talents. And we all as youths need to be curious, and we co-create together with all stakeholders from downstream to upstream so that we can create an inclusive and also comprehensive food system to transform the future of food. Oke, that's it ya. Ada lagi tambahan 33 detik. Oke.
Mungkin mau nambahin juga sedikit, ketika kita bicara inovasi dan youth gitu ya, pemuda, yang pasti kita jangan menutup diri, jadi tetap open for collaboration. I think that's very important, terutama dengan orang-orang yang beda keilmuannya dengan kita gitu. Jadi misalnya kita pertanian nih, nah kita collab dengan anak komputer, anak teknik mesin, nah itu silahkan aja. Nah malah kita bisa enrich di situ. Dan mungkin itu jadi jadi booster atau katalis riset kita itu malah jadi lebih bagus karena kita punya broader view tadi.
Thank you Kak Rana. Mungkin MC mau ya menutup. Udah minus 0,12 soalnya. Ya, silakan.
Thank you so much, Irene, and all of speakers. Can we give a big round of applause to the first session? Thank you so much. You may return to your seats, please. Thank you. Thank you so much for such an insightful and engaging discussion. As we continue today's summit, we will now move into our second panel discussion. This session will further explore cross-sector collaboration, research insights, and innovative initiatives that are shaping the evolving landscape of food development. And now allow me to introduce the moderator for our next session. She is the Assistant Manager, Teijuhana Foundation. Please welcome Dinda Sonaloka.
Halo, selamat siang semuanya. Hello everyone, my name is Dinda from Teijuhana Foundation or TJF. Sedikit memperkenalkan dulu TJF, jadi kami adalah sebuah lembaga riset think tank ya, yang fokus kepada bagaimana kita bisa mengoptimalkan lahan-lahan tertidur atau suboptimal supaya bisa dipakai untuk pertanian dan mencapai food security di Indonesia. Kami merupakan bagian dari Sambu Group. Sambu Group adalah produsen yang menghasilkan santan kara. Pada kenal santan kara kan semuanya? Jadi kalau jalan-jalan ke mall dari santan kara ingat TJF ya, gitu. Okay, before we start, I would like to invite our speakers. The first one, I would like to invite Mr. Patricio Riveros, Agricultural Attache of Chile in Indonesia. He is agricultural engineer with 2 master degrees in agricultural economics and economic analysis from leading universities in Chile. With over 14 years of experience as legislative advisor, consultant to international organizations, and senior analyst in agricultural, economic, and trade policy, he brings extensive expertise in shaping public-private strategies. Please welcome Mr. Patricio Riveros to the stage. The next one, I would like to invite my dearest friend, Mbak Maria Dominika Mediana, research and policy analyst at CIPS. She specializes in policy research and food system and economic development, contributing to evidence-based discussions on building more resilient, inclusive, and sustainable food security frameworks. Please welcome Mbak Maria or Mbak Monique to the stage. The last one, I would like to invite Mas Dhiera Anarchy Rihi atau Mas Archie from Program Officer and Venture Analyst Futural Study. He focused on sustainability-driven initiative and impact-oriented investment, bringing insight into how future solutions can strengthen food system and address systemic food security challenges. Please welcome Mas Archie to the stage. Please have a seat. Please give a round of applause to all of speakers, guys, before we start. All right. Wait a minute, I'll need to move my chair so I can see all of your face clearly. Wait a minute, yeah, wait a minute. Okay, so I believe that we are ready to start sharing some insights, and I believe also that our participants also looking forward to the discussion during the Q&A session later on. So the session will be conducted in Bahasa and English, so we are really welcome to the speakers and the participants to use whichever language that comfortable you feel. So our topic is rethinking our food security, multiple perspective on systemic challenges and future solutions. When we are thinking about and we are talk about food security, it's often discussed in terms of availability and productions. However, today's challenges go far beyond yields and supply. They are deeply systematic. So based on the speakers on the stage today, and the perspective of the organization you represent, what do you see as the most urgent systemic challenges affecting food security today? So maybe we can start with Mr. Patricio, and then Maria and Mas Archie, okay? So.
Okay, thank you very much, first of all, for the invitation of the IAAS. And I want to know, I was part of the IAAS in Santiago, Chile. Oh. So I was one of you, but in Chile several years ago. Now straight to the point, because you are very hard on that, okay? I'm good. I want to introduce first what is Chile? Chile is a country from South America. We have around of 20 million of inhabitants, and we are the part of the OECD country. And this is very important because we are trying to support Indonesia in order to get the access to the OECD, which in our case was very important because they change all structural change in our economy. For that, we are now with a lower rate of poverty, is around of 4%, considering the most flexible one measure. And also our economy is based on open markets, and where the agriculture is very important, and reach the new markets brings us high levels of food security too, because in our production also we import a lot. Okay, for that, this is the way we are develop our policies. But in terms of food security, we have a paradox, because our main problem right now is obesity. It's not hunger, you know. And for that, this is a very good opportunity in order to share and of course to get some insight about Indonesian policies. Thank you very much.
I see. Thank you, Mr. Patricio. Next one, Mbak Maria, do you want to add some more?
Yeah, thank you, Mbak Dinda, and hello everyone. So if you see my name there, it's Maria Dominika Mediana. I have two more. I have 5 words in my name. It's too long, but you can just refer to me as Monique instead. I'm a research and policy analyst at CIPS. Maybe a little bit introduction here. CIPS is a Center for Indonesian Policy Studies. We are a think tank in Indonesia doing policy and research advocacy to the government of Indonesia, especially to the executive and legislative branch of Indonesia, where one of our main focus is in food and agriculture policies in Indonesia. And CIPS is also currently as a head of secretariat of the Future Foods Forum. It is a forum comprising of about 14 to 15 organizations up to now. It was initiated back in T20 in Bali, and we are heading toward a sustainable food system transformation as well in the forum. So back to the question. Before that, I'm really happy with the previous panel discussion, because it is such an intriguing topic, to say the least. It is a very heated discussion. And when we talk about food security, I feel like in Indonesia, Rajendra also explained to us earlier about the complexity and the journey when we are talking about food and agriculture system in Indonesia, where 3 decades ago, we may be mainly focused on the input production, and now we are heading towards something that is more complex, because when we are seeing the Global Food Security Index, we are still in the 63rd place in terms of Indonesia, and we still have a long way to go, and our neighboring countries have better ranking than us. And in terms of food security aspects as well, beyond availability, affordability, utilization, and stability, we also include now about agency. Now it is very important as well to integrate the nutritional aspects. But what I want to also pinpoint as well, when we are talking about food security, we cannot abolish the importance of trade and economy, just like Patricio also mentioned before in Chile. Because in food security, when we see the definition, it is very different with food sovereignty, or what we usually mention as swasembada pangan, kemandirian pangan. It is very different with ketahanan pangan, food security. When we are talking about food security, it means that we can fulfill our food demand from any reliable sources. That means import. Now, it can be quite sensitive in some discussion, but what I want to highlight is about each countries, whether it's regional and in global. we rely on each commodities and export and import as well. So it is very important when we are talking about food security to have a more broadened perspective, to be more open trade and rather free market approaches, because let's say one of our main commodity in Indonesia, or one of our main foods, tempe, tahu, 75% or more are imports. The soybean are all imported. It is not all local. And maybe one of our instant noodles, the wheat, is also imported. So when we are talking about the food security, it doesn't mean that we rely heavily on imports. We are trying to innovate, maybe doing research, development, piloting, and maybe demo plot as well with the farmers, seeking more solutions, maybe to diversify foods towards healthier diets. Now, we are talking about healthier diets now, and we are talking about healthier diets. The climate impacts already very visible to our food security today. Because let's say 10 years ago, when we were talking about environment damage to our food and agricultural sector, it hasn't really hit us, but now it's already very visible. Now, so approaches like climate smart agriculture, heading towards more soil health, water preservation become very, very important in achieving our food security. Thank you.
Thank you, Mbak Monique. Mas Archie?
Okay.
How do you think?
Yes. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me as part of this very amazing people, I would say. And perhaps a bit of an introduction about the organization that I'm in. I'm in Future Lestari. So as a note, we are not an expert in agriculture. I think I need to state that first. We're basically an innovation and growth partner for any type of innovations. We don't only work on agriculture, we also work on any other innovation that can bring impact for the future. That is basically what we're working on. And our experiences in agriculture in this case is mostly related to smallholder farmers, and of course, on how the innovation can be implemented to those smallholder farmers. And related to the question that you mentioned in this case is that I think I can use a keyword to try to sum up what I'm trying to explain, is that the biggest issue is uncertainty. Certainty, it could be implemented in terms of certainty in production, certainty in pricing, for example, in terms of business, certainty in distribution, and of course, certainty in terms of quality of the food. So certainty becomes a problem in all of the aspect in terms of food in this case, is because each of the part works in their own silos. So there's rarely any type of collaboration, or I would say even if there is any collaboration in this case, is how effective those collaborations are. I think from the previous discussion, a lot was mentioned regarding what roles do people play, or what roles do stakeholders play. And I think those parts are also very key for us to discuss in this case, and we're talking about certainty. And Lestari in this case functions basically as that. So we're trying to match either the innovation, the producers themselves, the farmers, and of course the government on how can they collaborate and bring the impact that they could provide directly towards each of the problems that they have. I think that's all I can provide for now.
All right, thank you, the speakers, for the questions. I think we can agree that food security is really fundamental to our lives, right? It interconnected with many aspects, not only on health, but also in long term in economic, in educations, and the health itself, and nutrition, obesity, and others. Also, like Patricio said, that we facing paradox like obesity, and we also feel the same at TGF. It seems like the data shown the number of people in the world keep increasing until 2050. It predicted almost 720 million people in the world, but the land to can utilize into agriculture is become decreasing every single year. So is it we can provide food that accessible for everyone in 2050? That's the biggest question also that we try to find out in TGF. Regarding on that big questions. So based on your experience and what you work now in your organizations, what do you see the most solutions that promising on paper, but when we try in the field, it's fail in practice, and why it happened? Do you have any best practices that can be shared to others? Please, maybe we can start from the ladies one. The second one, Monique.
Okay, ladies first, yeah. Okay, so what programs that looks really great on paper but maybe failing in practice?
Yeah.
Similar answer to the previous panel, the food estate project. So CIPS is publishing a few of policy briefs and policy papers, and we are doing also, Mas Brayen, advocacy to the coordinating Ministry of Food Affairs and the Ministry of Agriculture as well. And we have more discussions about why food estate become a program, because this program already running for 3 decades now, more than 3 decades, ever since the Suharto presidency up to now. And when we talk about this, we understand that the background of this project, why is it happening? Because first, the rising population is surging, especially in Indonesia. We already notice lots of birth rates as well. And the next one, it means food demand also becoming more an issue, while Mbak Dinda also mentioned earlier about the decrease of agricultural land and agricultural land conversion to non-agricultural sectors. It is very much happening, even though we already have regulations about LP2B, lahan sawah dilindungi, right? But it is still an issue. So I personally get why the government choose to pursue the extensification approach in this case to fulfilling our food demand. But in CIPS, we are trying to maybe become a watchdog as well in this matter. We are trying to seeking solutions together, right, to collaborate. And base our study, our findings in Central Kalimantan, and as well in other sites of the food estate project, doing the study as well, interviews. We thought that agricultural intensification approach is still so much more preferable than doing extensification project. Even though the previous panel also mentioned how maybe governance roles and certainty of the coordination maybe again look really good on paper. We already have naskah academic, we already have regulations, etc. But in practice, it's pretty much lacking and quite frustrating to see. But we think that it is better if we try to prioritize intensification, so optimize the existing land use by doing pursuing more input. But input in this case, we do not want to retry the past mistakes when we did the green revolution, when we really overusing the chemicals, the pesticides, because it really lead to unsustainable practices, right? So that's why earlier I mentioned about climate smart agriculture. We are also trying in CIPS to maybe try another angle of solution in terms of input assistance in subsidized fertilizer. Because it is very much still have a lot of areas of improvement in terms of better targeting, in terms of leakage as well, in terms of the high fiscal cost budget to our state budget as well. So that's the first one about the food estate project. There's still a lot of area of improvement there. And the next one is also maybe quite sensitive as well, the MBG, the free school meal program. It looks really good on paper because I see that it is quite noble because we tried based on that MBG program to achieve the public health, well-being, right? And then also educational performance of the students. So it looks really good, right? Nothing wrong with that. But the issue maybe can be seen in terms of the governance, and we already see as well about the, again, uncertainty when we see the news about the targeted beneficiaries, about the governance, and then as well about the high fiscal budgets, because the budgets within the MBG program also took the budget from the education sector, and that's quite questionable up to now. And yeah, I think that's when we are trying maybe to do the free school meal program, because this is not the first in the world. There are other free school meal program in other countries that maybe can be a baseline and best practices for us. But maybe what's ideal for us is to not implement it nationwide first, and maybe try to minimize the targeted beneficiaries. Maybe we start with breastfed mothers. We are focusing on stunting, right? So maybe let's start on that. And maybe our BPS, Statistik Indonesia, and also National Food Agency, Bapanas, also already have a food insecurity index based on each region, each province in Indonesia. So maybe we can also focus based on that first. Yeah, that's a few of solutions. And maybe we can also start from a parental nutrition literacy, and as well as school-based management. So because we already have our own canteens, right, in schools, and maybe we can start empower them instead to promote healthier foods, healthier diets for the students.
I see, quite interesting. Two project strategi nasional ya, yang di-highlight oleh Mbak Maria. Oke, Mas Archie gimana?
Yes, sure. I think from our perspective, especially as we work a lot with how innovation could answer all of the problems within the food system in this case, is that what we see is that it's not as easy as it seems to try to unravel and try to solve the problems simply just through innovation. We did a research with UTS, University of Technology in Sydney. So basically looking on how the implementation of innovation in this case into the production process of smallholder farmers. And the conclusion was that it is very difficult for farmers to adopt anything that is very high-tech. So for example, I think it was mentioned in the previous panel as well, I think something along the lines of dashboard, for example. They really, really, really don't like to use dashboard. Why? It's not really practical for them. It's not something that they know to do. It is something that they need to learn. And that learning process is something that is sometimes that innovators doesn't really see as a problem. So what they're trying to solve is just trying to put in the solutions directly into the users without understanding the user first. So sometimes research in this case, or for example, I would say R&D in terms of company, R&D in this case, needs to see a better product market fit on how their innovation could work, especially on, I would say, agriculture system in this case. And this is not only on the production side, so not only on the smallholder farmers, also in terms of distribution, for example, cold chain in this case, also on other aspects as well. So a lot of those things, we see a lot on innovators, even food development for stunting in this case. Not all of those developments are, I would say, really fit the problem that really exists. And I think that really clearly targeted innovation and with enough collaboration would work better rather than simply, oh, I'm interested in this, I wanted to study this, and then I would just want to try to solve the problem without holistically looking into the problem itself. I think that would be one of the issues that we see currently right now.
All right, interesting. That's also one of the key findings that we find in our place in Indragiri Hilir, right? There are so many farmers in there. They're still not aware about the technology. They're still thinking about how to balance in the cash flow. So instead of we're talking about technology toward gitu ya, for it's quite the fundamental matters is still there in the field. And then how do you think, Pak Patricio, about the questions?
In the same line, I want to talk about the Chilean perspective, because as you noted, I'm part of the diplomatic corps, okay? Of course. 2 points there. The first one, thinking in abstract conceptualization of the production function, there is two main inputs. The first one is about the capital, which can be the biological capital, and also machinery, irons, among others. And the other one is about labor. And usually, the political only think on one of these components. And this need to consider Higgs neutral. What do you mean that? The Higgs neutral is how the technology affects the both components in the same. For example, I can buy a great machinery, but what happens if I cannot drive that? I need some extension, create some capabilities, knowledge. And as the panel mentioned too, sometimes the most simple thing are increasing our productivity. And the key there, considering your first part of this question, we are increasing in population, we are diminishing in surface, and for that increment the pressure of natural resources. And what is the main way in order to improve that, or thinking in a long term of growth? It's about productivity. And this productivity is not only increase the production through the capital. It's all about ecosystem. It's all about biological capital. It's a long thing. And the second one, I think, usually the policymakers think in a big, okay? And this is very important. But also, it is necessary to create good public-private schemes in order to get the bottom line policies. On this sense, women are very important in that. Why? Because usually, men, we are thinking in the best policy, so big, but the women are thinking in a practical thing. And we need to include and contribute with more women into the take decisions. In the making decision, the women are so important because they have different perspective. They have different perspective of the life and the households comparing with men. Okay, for that I'm married with a great woman. Which is part of essential of my life. And for that, this is very important, has some gender perspective too on different policies.
Okay, it's interesting. We are talking about the ecosystem, the capital, the capability, the knowledge, and also the role of women itself, in the this ecosystem. And then it's continue to my next questions. I believe that all of us already aware that to address all the challenges in food system cannot depend on one actor only. We cannot depend on the government only. We cannot depend on the farmer itself. But we need to enhance the private-public partnerships, and I believe that it's already run since long time ago. But from your perspective, what and where do you think that these cross collaborations often get stuck to address all those challenges that we already talked since earlier? Please, maybe we can start from Mas Archie.
Sure. Okay, I think based on our experience, in terms of bottleneck in this case, we've previously did a program with governments as well. So we did, I think it was with 3 local governments in this case. So we conducted the implementation of innovation. So directly addressing the problems. It's not just on agriculture, it was on waste, stunting as well. So a couple of different topics that we did. And in terms of, I would say the expectation was perhaps, it would not be as welcoming. But governments are very welcoming, especially the local government in Indonesia, in terms of implementation in this case. They are even quite open to open all of the problems that they have in the region itself. So they're open to any types of solution that we can provide. But the biggest problem that we see was that, I think it was mentioned, in terms of capital in this case. Capital to conduct any type of testing, or capital to, if you're talking about business, capital to try to deploy all of the innovations that we've provided It's not as simple as who would bear the capital in this case. Would it be on the government side? Would it be on the innovator side? Or would it be on the smallholder farmer side? That would be ridiculous, right? But I think in terms of collaboration, it is not really that difficult from what we see, especially on the directly on the pilot or implementation level. But in terms of whether or not it can go forward, especially in terms of capital in this case, it is, I think it is something that that needs to be bridged upon quite better in that sense.
All right, Mr. Patricio.
I think one of the most important things in order to have success public-private scheme are eliminate some barrier of communication, and one of these, and also, of course, eliminate any kind of prejudice between the public and private sector. If we can create this good scheme, we can have some goals in a long-term perspective, creating strategic agendas. And I want to share something with you. We brought for each of you, after that we can share with the audience. This is a grapes and cherries from Chile. Oh, you can see, oh, it's nice, it's tasty, very good flavor, high quality, but behind of that exists technology, productivity, public-private schemes. Exists a lot of work behind that, okay? For example, now we are the most important exporter of cherries, and our main market is China, okay? And we are exporting in this year around of $4 billion only in cherries. 10 years ago, only 100 million. You know what? Because the entire system, the public system, private, are going to get a vision. And in order to diminish the different barriers, all is about the confidence between the counterparts. I think this is the key.
I see, and I really cannot wait to try the cherry and grapes. Yeah,
of course.
Okay, Mbak Monik.
Okay, the importance about multi-sector collaborations, I think, lies on a value. First thing first, aside of capital, of course. But I think in terms of the government of Indonesia or Indonesia's policies, because CIPS is focusing on national policies, there are still ego-sectoral issues, and this is not only visible to the government bodies, but also in non-governmental organizations, in maybe also academia. We have our own agenda here and there about food security, but I think the most important thing when we want to achieve a communal goal here is to maybe compromise a few things to consider to achieve the true food security. So may focus on the long-term goals and better policy-making process, and also what also important is echoing Patricio also the importance to use the JETSI lens in our policy-making process, because it is not explicitly mentioned in our regulations. So JETSI is gender equality, disability, and social inclusion. It is not a new concept, and every other countries, I believe, already implement this approach to the day-to-day work, even in one institution. But again, the importance of women, the importance of disability people, and also people from the marginalized communities are very, very much important. Let's say in deciding policies about food and agriculture, we already have forums in the local level, let's say Musrenbang. We already have musyawarah from the bottom-up approach, but unfortunately, there are still some disconnects when voices, aspirations from the local community and tenurial communities cannot really be absorbed at the higher level. So access and also decision-making power of those marginalized, reaching really those social inclusivity is very important. So, and also, I also want to mention about the importance about, again, public-private partnership, because capital is one of the big issues in terms of reaching new programs in food security. That's why academia, non-governmental organizations, CSO, private sectors, businesses, the governments, local governments as well have to come together to seeking one solution collaborations that cannot be one size fits all, because especially in Indonesia's context, it's very difficult because we have infrastructure disparity, also income disparity and all that. And we have to really map all these potentials and each maybe bottlenecks in each province to really better understand the key issues and solutions.
I see. So we're talking about private-public partnership. There are so many elements that need to be addressed and prioritized, yeah, like the value, the community, the bureaucracy, and then the capital ones, how to make sure that all the groups at the grassroots level are also represented in the regulations and other. I think it's also become our homework together as the future generation, next leaders. So how we can try to make it everything be more strength and better than before. All right, I see in the monitor it's time for the discussion. So I will open for 3 questions. Okay, the lady over there. And then who else? The lady over there, okay. Please state your name and institutions.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Pramudita. I'm from cultural anthropology student from UGM, Universitas Gadjah Mada in Yogyakarta. So I have a question. It's based on my recent research. I did a research on a spice crop in Yogyakarta, and I met with a lot of people, with a lot of farmers. I also met with a lot of different government departments, and I saw that there seemed to be a gap, like a delay between the government response to what's happening in the field. Usually, so my spice crop that I did research on was like a native spice that became booming in the past few months. Last year, it was so booming, and there was almost no response from the government. So when I asked from like the agricultural department, they didn't know much about them. When I asked them if there's anything they plan to do, they said that, well, everything is still on plan. We don't have, nothing is set on stone yet. We haven't done anything to reach out to the farmers to, how to say it, mengakomodasi.
To accommodate.
To accommodate the farmers. And I see it a lot in a lot of like government projects that every day there are new facts revealed in the field. There needs to be a lot of adjustment, and I see that the government is like lacking when it comes to responding to the cases in the field, adjusting with different situations in the field. And I also agree that with Senor Riveros when he said about we need a lot of gender perspective in policy making as well, because when I did my research, I saw a lot of woman contribution that was overlooked, and a lot of people seem to forget that woman plays a big role when it comes to food and agriculture. And yeah, I think also the government also seems to forget about like woman contribution as well. So my question is how, you know, the government should respond to the issues that is happening in the field quickly to address the problems. So so we're not losing the momentum, so we're not causing more harm if the impacts are negative. That's it from me. Thank you.
Thank you. Mbak siapa tadi namanya? Punten, maaf.
Pramudita.
Pramudita. Okay. Thank you, Mbak. Anyone would like to answer? Yeah, please, Miss.
Yes, this is not heritage for in particular country. This is big issue in all governments in the whole world. Okay, how we can improve our policies in order to have a quick response. Okay, and for that, this is very important. The organization of the farmers in this case can be farmers, can be all other stakeholders, and the organization allowed create a good synchrony with the people who taking decisions. Okay, for that, my suggestions is not talking always about what the government can do for me and what I have to do in order to government listen to me. Okay, for that, for example, the good organization of farmers is very important.
I see it's a global problem, yes.
Of course.
Everywhere. But Monique?
Yeah, maybe first thing first, kudos, congratulations for the project. It maybe a hand of applause from Mbak Pramudita because to innovate about something is not easy, of course, and I understand you. And sorry if you felt that way. If the issue is about so there is no uptake, right, as well from the local government. I would say for the project, for the innovation to be more sustained and resilient is to, I don't know if you did some stakeholder mapping and analysis in Yogyakarta first, so focus on the pain and gain points of each key stakeholders that maybe the Dinas Pertanian there and maybe Dinas Pariwisata maybe also can be included. It depends really case by case. But also because you already have the program running, try to always maintain the program and always record all the information, all the data, all the success, even all the tiny wins, tiny achievements to your report, and make it as evidence-based stories, because stories are so important when we are trying to do advocacy, in this case to the government, because in terms of data, government already knows the data because it is out there, especially those publicly available. But in terms of story from the grassroots, from the communities, from the farmer corporations, maybe you have the uniqueness there. And maybe try to highlight that as well. And again, use your platform, voicing your aspirations, just like what you did today. And also pursue to more innovation and collaboration, maybe, for you to not rely heavily on the governments. To, again, public-private partnership is very important because you came from UGM as well. Try to connect with the faculty, with the research bodies there, and also the CSO, because I think Jogja also have lots and lots of NGOs running in food and agricultural sector. So it is very important as well for you to maybe try to network and collab with them in the future. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mbak Monique. Mas Archie?
Yeah, perhaps I think it's already been answered by both. Just to add a bit on Patricio's point is that I think there's a theory where it shows that policy will always be lagging other than innovation or technology in this case. So the government will always be late. This is not blaming any type of government, but government will always be late whenever there's innovation or technology that comes in. And it essentially the process is it really becomes your role in this case. As harsh as it sounds, it becomes your role, for example, to collaborate with them. Whether or not the form of collaboration in this case could be, I think it was mentioned in terms of whether you network with them, whether or not you formalize a collaboration with them, it would really help them, because in the end of the day they will ask, oh, ada masalah ini toh, there's this issue toh, oh okay, they just got the issue in the bag, but they don't know what the solution to come up with. So you will be their first source of information for the change to happen. You will be the single agent of change that could change something in the government itself. So I think in terms of the process, it's already included a correct process in this case, but on the how you can bring that change would be, something I advise is that try to find more cross-collaboration in this case as well. Because in the end of the day, the project that you're doing should be treated somewhat as a business as well. It is in agriculture, it will always be in terms of whether or not you can sustain it. And if you don't treat it as a business, it would really be difficult for it to sustain in the long term in this case. I think those are the two things that I can say.
Yeah, thank you, Mas Archie. I will also would like to add some points. Like, I totally agree that maybe at the first step, the local government didn't aware yet about the point that you want to address. It's really necessary you to build relationship with them, talks a lot with them, and even though there's a marathon journey, yeah, it's not will happen in one night, but it's like maybe months, maybe years, and then hopefully that you can keep persistent what you do, and then we all of us hope that there will be change in local government that can support your program. Thank you, Mbak, atas pertanyaannya. And then one last questions. Do we have any? Oh yeah, the gentleman over here. The committee, can you help with the microphone, please?
My name is Jenvi Lutwiananta. I was a consultant in Badan Riset Inovasi Nasional BRIN.
I see.
I have a partner, my professor. We developed a project drone for innovation Reni, modification Reni. We do project in PLN, electrical city government. Yeah, but you know, that's problem. Our drone we didn't use in BMKG, Badan Meteorologi and Geofisika. Why? We can reduce cost rational maybe until 50-80%. Maybe if Chile we collaboration, we can, no problem.
Oh.
We have the fabrication in Tangerang. Ner.
Pitching ini Pak, bukan pertanyaan.
Yes. What do you think if we do a project for technology modification for the farming?
I see.
We can develop blockchain for palm plantation, token sawit. Okay. Is this moment, what do you think with the blockchain technology in farming? Thank you.
I see. Thank you, Pak. Ini menarik. It's interesting because he's doing pitching, yeah. Well, asking you questions. So regarding about the technology improvement to agriculture sector, like blockchain and others, maybe you can share some perspective from Chile.
Yeah. Okay. No. This is a very interesting question. Maybe this is could be a big section by not only to talk about that. Okay. So, in a water management perspective, we faced the last 10 years a big drought. Okay, and this drought can change, can push up our technology things. For that, we can share maybe through email in order to explore possibility for a project cooperation. After this session, we can talk more about this kind of thing because we are ending the time. And I'm very what? Okay. So sorry. Yeah, sure. Okay, but we have a lot of experience on that because the climate change has penetrated Chile.
All right. Unfortunately, due to time constraint, we have to conclude the Q&A session here. Please give a round of applause to all of us, the speakers and all the participations. I think that's all from me. If you have any questions, please you can say to us during the networking sessions after this. We truly appreciate to all of us, to the speakers and participants for the insightful discussions. It has been a pleasure for me to moderate in the sessions. Thank you and see you in the next one. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Can we give a big round of applause once again? Please stay on your seat. all speakers and moderator, yes, please stay on your seat. And thank you so much to all speakers throughout today's summit for sharing their valuable insights and experiences. And again, thank you everyone for coming to the U.S. Embassy's American Center at America. Can we give a big round of applause? Thank you so much. And to get to know more about our next amazing events here, you can follow our social media. We have on Instagram, Facebook, X, YouTube, AT America. With that, thank you so much for tuning in with us. My name is Patricio Elizabeth, and see you at the next At America events. Bye, everyone.